What's going on, everyone, and welcome to Poke Playtime's breakdown of this new set coming out this August. It's Furious Fists, and first up we have Victory Bell here.
So, Wafting Scent, once during your turn, discard a grass energy. If you do, your opponent's active Pokemon is confused and poisoned. Before Plasma Blast, this card would have been huge. But now, with the addition of Virizion EX and we have Keldeo EX, status conditions aren't really a big issue nowadays. That being said, if you're running this on your bench with a Hex Pokemon like Giratina or the old Ninetales, this card works pretty well. It hits for extra damage if there's any status conditions.
It's interesting.
It's interesting enough, yeah.
But nothing major.
Yeah, nothing huge. I don't think a lot of people.
The big grass Pokemon are these two here.
The Heracross and Mega Heracross, yeah. So, I'm still not too sold on Mega Evolutions, even though they're in the last set. I still think
Which was awesome.
Yeah, they were. They were
Charizard
pretty good.
awesome.
Charizards are always awesome. But Mega Evolutions losing a turn, it can be detrimental. I've seen many a player lose a game by losing that turn.
The attacks here, big horn attack, losing.
Okay, and you talk about the grass Pokemon.
No, I'm just saying, it's a minus attack.
Yeah, it can hit for 180 for 3, that's grand, but you're Mega Evolving, someone calls it up, puts a bit of damage on it, you're losing an awful lot of damage very quickly. Minus 10 damage for each damage counter. Heracross EX doesn't seem too bad. Guard Press, we've seen that attack many times before. Does 40, reduce attacks by 20, and Giga Power does 40 more damage if you do 20 to itself. If you couple that up with a Protection Cube, you're not doing any damage, and it's 3 for 120. Pretty decent.
Now we're talking about the two big fire Pokemon in the set. We got Magmortar here and Blaziken. Blaziken I'm going to talk about first. The attack Clutch, it's pretty interesting. 50 damage and they can't treat. Obviously then you'll have the likes of Switch, Catcher, and Escape Rope. And Keldeo. That will get you out of that. Burning Shot is the interesting one. Although you have a heavy discard, using a card like Blacksmith will counter having the discard. Putting 150 on any bench Pokemon is absolutely amazing.
Especially if they're...
But it's just a little short.
Just a little bit.
4 for 150 though is amazing.
If you can find a way to couple that with an El Greninja, you're...
Yeah,
pretty.
If you can spread a bit of damage on the field with the likes of that. So it's possible you could see Greninja Blaziken. I wouldn't be surprised.
Or Blaziken Dusknoir.
Yep, Blaziken Dusknoir. Wouldn't be shocked at all. Magmortar is more of a fun deck. I can't see it being a very big deck. Magmortar and Electivire, both of them are going hand in hand. So Flame Charge is a fantastic attack, 1 for 30. But you get done. And the next turn, it's provided you have a DCE and you have an Electivire in the bench, you're hitting for 160. Very quick acceleration, but not necessarily the best card ever printed.
Oris, as you can see, being pulled into the shot now. Not a huge fan. If it wasn't for the fact that it was a fossil type, it could work very, very well with Blastoise Keldeo. That allows you to put the
Icy Shield. It's a good ability. It's not a great ability.
Yeah.
For a fossil Pokemon, you're gonna have to do a lot. Fair enough. It has a supporter.
The supporter gets it accelerated a bit quickly, but it's still it's relying on one other card to get it set down.
It's too much.
Icy Wind, not a great attack. Pokemon Sleep. This Politoed I've been very impressed with. King Song, ignore all colorless energy attacks. Colorless energy in the attack of your Poliwag, Poliwrath, Poliwrath. Couples very well with the set's Poliwrath,
which I will show now.
Steamroll, 3 colorless for 60, does 30 damage to the bench.
Could be free if you have a Politoed.
If you have a Politoed down, that's a free attack, 60 and snipe and 30 damage onto the bench. Could be huge. Something like this could work very, very well with a Miltank deck. As Alan said earlier on, spread a bit of damage and then Steamroll, bring up Steamroll to start sniping off the thing.
Even Submission.
For that clutch. And this one,
obviously a big one in the set.
A huge one in the set. This Seismitoad EX Quaking Punch is a massive attack. We've all seen the Dragonite from Plasma Freeze. If you can get that set up with the 3 colorless energies def and shutting off your opponent's items is an absolutely huge advantage to have.
30 damage isn't great.
30 isn't great. You get a muscle band onto him, it's 50. Verbank Laser, I know it's all ifs, buts and maybes, but shutting off items is a huge thing. If any of us have played the Trevenant decks,
plus Grenade Hammer is pretty good.
Grenade Hammer with the snipe, is class.
Plus
but
power.
I think we're going to see, an awful lot of Seismitoad EX with Garbodor trying to shut down items and abilities.
Yeah, it should be a fun deck. Anyway, we are moving slowly onto the electric and psychic types. So
Yeah.
I'm going to pull up Electivire here. Thunderous, and you guys might be wondering what, but I'm bringing up Dedenne as well.
Would you like to take the Thunder type Pokemon?
I will. Kieran actually pointed this one out to me, so I'm going to let him talk about
So yeah, the Dedenne was one that was pointed out to me at League this week. Someone picked it up from their pre-release packs. Its first attack, right? It's an electric Pokemon, but it's a colorless energy, so it works in any deck. First attack is basically Call for Family, get your 2 basics. Its second attack, Energy Short. It's an interesting one. It's almost like a cheap version of Leafeon's attack Energy Press or Energy Crush.
Yeah,
Does 20 damage to the amount attached to the opponent's active Pokemon. It's not a terrible card, but if you're coming up against an Yveltal EX, like you're putting down 40 for every energy when they're relying on Evil Ball, the Dene could easily come up and play a strong game against an Yveltal. It's not a terrible card.
Anyway, then we have Electivire, which I spoke of earlier, with the Type Team Spark. It does 20 plus 20 for each energy attached to your Magmortar. If you have 3 Magmortar on the bench with a few energies spread around, that could be hitting huge. Gigavolt, flip a coin, this attack does 30 more damage. If tails, your opponent's paralyzed.
So
it's a win-lose, or win-win, I should say, as opposed to most when it's win-lose. Pretty good, probably a little better than the Magmortar, although the Magmortar can hit for a little higher damage. Thunderous is okay. I wouldn't say it's game-changing, and yeah, that's all I really have to say about the Thunderous.
With the introduction of the destruction of tool cards in the last set, its tool cards aren't going to be a huge.
In the psychic types, I think Hypno has to get an honourable mention.
Definitely.
The Jinx is good, but not worth talking about.
So Hypno have our hand control. Your opponent reveals his or her hand there. If you do, you can select the supporter they can play, and you control all that. Me and Alan came up with 2 different ideas. If your opponent's down to 1 prize and they have an N, you can force them to play that, or
Skyla into junk.
Skyla into nothing, into absolute nonsense. And
but
Gothitelle.
Big psychic type of this set has to be Gothitelle with Teleport Room. Once during your turn, you may discard any stadium in play and put into play any
different
stadium card from your discard pile. Now, I know Tropical Beach will be rotated out, but we don't know what's coming from Worlds yet.
And there's the Day 2 rule that's been introduced as well on a temporary basis.
So you can have your Beach come back, you can have your Verbank come back, you can have the stadiums that are coming out come back. This card is pretty big, depending on the type of deck you're running, obviously. So now we go and we talk about the fighting types, obviously the biggest type of this set. Kieran, do you want to bring it in with the matchup?
The matchup. Okay, so we've seen a few matchups in the last couple of sets. Some of them have been okay. I think we saw one, was it the Plasma Blast? We thought it was better than it was, but this one seems pretty good. Each of your fighting Pokemon attacks do 20 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. Okay, doesn't seem like much, but when you couple it with its own attack, 3 fighting energy for 80, it's automatically hitting for 100. And that's if you only have 1 Machamp down. If you're getting 2 or 3 of them down, you're hitting big quickly. And it's also got the added effect, it reduces damage by 40. So, I mean, this matchup I think could be a huge Stage 2 card that's going to come out in this set.
I don't see it being overly played, to be honest.
I think if you're going to run it, you're going to need to run 4 of them just to get the maximum use out of that effect.
Anyway, off that, this is my personal favourite. This is the set's FU to Pyroar.
Yes. Pyroar was the big thing to come out in the
Flashfire
set, which everyone was trying to figure out ways around Pyroar, and here we are.
And yeah, it's good. It's not great. It'll do the job.
Yeah.
That's pretty much Hirayama. When it comes to Lucario EX and the Mega, I have pulled Lucario EX and I have played it. It's good. It's not great.
A lot was made out of it, I think.
I suppose if you were to have 3 strong energy, it's a very different card. But otherwise, I don't know. I think it's just been overhyped a little, and I was kind of disappointed by it. With the Mega Lucario, though, 140 discarding energy off you, off your opponent's active is good, especially if you have the fighting energy on it. Does the job.
Yeah. Still, it's not something that's made me fall in love with Mega Pokemon. I still think that loss of turn is a huge, huge thing in the game, and I've already said it. I've seen a lot of players lose big matches just from Mega Evolving on the wrong time or whatever.
Then we move on to the Holuchas, the two of them. You have the 1EX and the 1 basic type Pokemon. I think the basic type Pokemon has been completely overhyped with the shiny spirit. I do not like it.
Can only hit a Pokemon EX, not affected by weakness or distance. So I mean, if you're up against a Darkrai, you're only hitting for 60, and Darkrai can still hit you. Like it's sitting there to be hit. Yeah. That's all it is.
The Holucha EX, the 130 HP is way too low for an EX. The counter attack ability is good, but not great.
It's not
putting
good
2 damage counters.
For the cheap HP EXs, we've had Mew and Jirachi, the two that jump to mind, and they have 2 unbelievably useful abilities in Versatile and
the Spirit Guidance.
Yeah, allowing you to search your deck. Like, that's why they're huge. 130 HP EX, it's only it's basically got a hard shell.
It's muck
on it. It's not great.
Anyway, so I'm gonna completely skip over the Dark and Fairy Pokemon. Clefairy gets an honorable mention for its ability, but
increase in resistance. It's not perfect.
It's not worth talking about. Then we get to the Dragon types. Dragonite EX is absolutely amazing.
I think this could be my favourite card in the set.
It's the one card I am dying to get my hands on out of the set with its ability bust in. But the first card we gotta talk about
Dragon type
is
Noivern.
Its ability, if any damage is done to this Pokemon, flip a coin. If heads prevent that damage, is
still in rotation.
Huge. And then you gotta look at its attack. It does 30 damage to each of your opponent's Pokemon.
Like if you couple that with, as Alan said, a Dusknoir, you can smash down 180 damage and then knock out an EX. Or if you
next turn,
you can move the damage around and knock out 2 EXs in one turn. That's a 4-prize turn. That's massive.
And then you have Flygon. With the
this card.
Rainbow Shower, you may play as many basic energy cards as you like from your hand in any way you want. It's pretty good. And its attack 3 for 70, heal 30 damage from each of your Pokemon that has any energy attached to it. Pretty good too.
Yeah.
Not game changing, but fun.
I like that Rainbow Shower, and I think it could couple quite well with this next card that we're going to look at.
The Dragonite EX is where it's at, though.
Big time. I think this is the best Dragon card since Black Hero EX.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. I'm happy to agree with that. So, its ability is bust in. When you place Pokemon from your hand onto your bench, you may move any number of basic energy attached to your Pokemon to this Pokemon. If you do, switch this at Pokemon which are active. So you play it straight to your bench, and it essentially rushes in, fully charged, and it does 3 for 80, and you may discard an energy from it, and it'll do 40 more. So, I can see this hyped up with Electric in BW onward sets.
Yeah. No, it's not just that. I'd go with if you have the likes of Druddigon, right? If you have a Druddigon in your hand that has Revenge, you need a double colourless as well. This you don't. You just need to have energies on the field. Players with the Blastoise deck might see it coming. They can pull out a big knockout with a Black Hero EX, and then boom, Dragonite comes down, slams onto the bench, gets the energy needs, and smashes up. Hits for. If you get a Muscle Band on it, you don't need to discard. If you don't get the Muscle Band, you can make the discard and hit for the KO. You're picking 2 prizes right back, and you're absolutely laughing. So I think Dragonite and the Fairy weakness. I think the Fairy weakness on the Dragons has been absolutely massive at the moment because there's been no standout big Fairy cards for me at the moment.
So then we move on to the colourless Pokemon.
The normal types. The normies.
Yeah. Lickitung and Licky Licky are both fun cards. Use great pre-release cards, nothing more, nothing less.
That Eevee getting that early turn attack with the stage 1.
And using its energy evolution is pretty good too. Once you drop an energy on it, you can evolve it into
that type, yeah. So you can get a Vengeance Flareon out when you need it, you can get a Leafeon out when you need it, a Glaceon, whatever you need to get going, you can get out on that turn. I think we could see a good few evolutions coming out in the future sets. I think we see a big Espeon coming out in the next set.
or well, you can go back and look at your Vengeance Flareon even.
Yeah.
Then you look at the Tornadus. It's not great. Watchog, as usual, isn't great, and the Slacking is comical as usual.
So we're on
in
to
terms
the
of the
trainers.
trainers, it's great to see Energy Switch come back.
Yeah.
You have Maintenance, which is shuffle 2 cards back into your hand,
Or back
or
into your
back
deck,
in your deck,
draw a card.
1 card.
If you're desperate, yeah.
Full Heal is back.
Yeah. Karina, that's a pretty good card if you're
We'll
running
come to it in a minute. You've Tool Retriever, put two
two
cards
cards.
from the discard pile back into your hand.
Which means Teal Drop could be making a little bit of a comeback.
Not much so.
Yeah.
You've Super Scoop Up, which is great, although the coin flip. And then obviously you have the John Sale Fossil cards.
Yeah.
And then you have Focus Sash and Sparkling Robe, two awesome cards that will probably see a lot of play.
I think that Focus Ash is in because the Hallelujah has such low HP.
Hard to know.
That for me would be that. Anyway, so that's the item cards.
And then we move on to the 3 supporters in the set: Battle Reporter, Karina, and Fossil Researcher.
Battle Reporter, I think, is
Muck.
to go hand in hand with Pokemon Fan Club. Something that looks on the surface like it could be useful when you actually see or actually think about it being played. It's just a waste of a supporter to have in your deck.
Yeah. Karina is great if you're obviously running a fighting deck.
Obviously, yeah. Like, I mean, it's
And Fossil Researcher, obviously,
if you're running a fossil deck.
No, if you're running the 2 fossils out of this set, they're just trying to force a way for them to be
Two
played.
fossils in. If it was search your deck for 2 fossil basics,
I think
it
you'd
could be
OP
bigger, 'cause
Archeops in that.
you'd OP Archeops, but I'd be thinking along the lines of Credilli. You'd really accelerate out the Credilli.
So then the 2 standout and the 2 energy cards in the set, which are pretty standout, is the Leaf Energy and the Fighting Energy, or Herbal Energy.
Herbal Energy and Strong Energy. I think this
Herbal
is our
Energy,
first
I was
interaction
disappointed.
with special energies of some specific types. Like, we've heard of special metal energy, we've heard of them, haven't got to use them. Like, the only special energy we've interacted with were plasma energies,
And DCs.
prisms, DCs, and rainbow. So to see a specific type come out, the strong energy, ridiculously good. Adds 20 damage. You can throw down 4 of them onto one Pokemon. You're hitting for an extra 80. Yeah, you could say its downside has to be attached to a fighting, but I mean, you're not going to attach a fighting energy to anything else.
The Herbal Energy is pretty disappointing.
Yeah, I think it was just kind of thrown in to be there.
And then you have the Full Arts, which are pretty cool. Seismitoad looks awesome.
And of course,
And the Lucario and the Dragonite. The supporters all look pretty awesome. And then you have the Secret Rares, which are Heracross, Mega Heracross and
the
Mega
two
Lucario,
Megas again.
which are pretty cool. Anyway,
Should be given honorable mention to the stadium cards.
I suppose so.
Can't hurt.
You
There's
have Mountain Ring,
3
Training
stadiums.
Center, and Fighting Stadium.
So, Mountain Ring first. So Mountain Ring, prevent all damage done to your bench Pokemon. So it's basically like having Mr. Mime in play without taking up the bench space. It's okay, not perfect, but I mean, if you're setting up something that has a cheap HP basic, it works. Training Center, every stage 1 and stage 2 Pokemon gets plus 30 HP. Okay, again, not great, not terrible. And Alan, you can take this last one.
And then you have Fighting Stadium, where all your fighting Pokemon do 20 plus, or plus 20 damage to the defending Pokemon EX, which is pretty strong.
Yeah.
Good, not great, does the job. And that's our thoughts on Fury's Fists.
All in all, as a set, I think Flash Fire, there was a bit of a session with the Charizard cards, and let's face it, they are ridiculously good cards if you can find a way to make them fit.
Pyroar was
Fury's Fist, I think, is a more well spread set.
a couple more interesting cards in the set. But anyway, that's our time.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching us ramble and rave. You're up. Leave a comment below on what you think of our opinions on the cards, and be sure to check out all our pack openings on this set.
Yeah.
Later.
Bye.